What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner. Today I wanted to talk about a pretty fun topic to me, and this is going to be about what I think the bare minimum requirement for, how many mags you should have and how much ammo you should have for your guns. Now, it's obviously going to vary depending on, your finances and whatnot, but this is just a decent starting point. And I do mean starting point for what I think you should have. So let's kind of get into it. As far as like gun wise, I mean, you pick your guns, pistols, rifles, whatnot. I have one of my rifles here and my pistol. So we're going to just be talking like a basic 9mm pistol because it's the most common, and then a basic 5.56 or maybe 7.62 by 39 rifle. But I think 5.56, at least here in America, is the most practical rifle because most mass produced, we have the most availability to ammo for it, and then parts if you choose a regular AR. This is not a regular AR, but yeah, more or less fits the description. So as far as what I think magazine-wise, I think bare minimum for a rifle or a pistol should be 10 magazines, which looks like this in a rifle. That is not that many magazines, and depending on what you buy, like Palmetto does these deals where if you buy one of their guns, you get 10 magazines here and there, not all the time. But I honestly think that was a really cool idea as soon as I started seeing those like come into our shop through transfers, because I've always thought, at least 10 mags is good. I thought it was really cool of them to do that because it's a very good starting magazine point. And I do mean starting because when you're talking, a gun for self-defense or just in general, having, a couple range mags, or I have 4 pistol range mags here, and then having mags for self-defense, like if you're gonna carry hollow points. So it's kind of a mess, but there's 6 Glock mags with hollow points in there, 4 mags with full metal jackets in there. I think that's a very good starting point. And you don't even need all 10 to be loaded. What I tell people, like if they ask me, is I would say at least 3 range mags, whether it's pistol or rifle, because 3 is a good way to, get a feel for the gun, practice reloads. Maybe you might have one magazine that is a dud, and that happens between any brand. I've seen duds in almost any type of magazine, but having 3 range mags for training, for, that way you don't have to also reload constantly. You can have just 3 mags on hand, which is a decent amount. And then you can also have anywhere from like 2 to 4 mags for self-defense rounds, because if you're carrying a pistol, you do want to carry hollow points, not full metal jackets, but that's kind of its own topic. Just carry hollow points for self-defense. It's more effective and might save your life better. So hollow point mags, because that way you also don't have to unload your hollow points every single time you go out to the range. So yeah, having separate mags for self-defense mags, separate mags for range mags, and then let's say you do 3, and then have 4 as just backup mags in case they get hard to get, they get really expensive, or any of yours breaks. So having a couple extra is not bad, and I think 10 really kind of just covers those 3 bases of having a couple extra, having some for self-defense, and having some for the range. So that's kind of why I choose 10 as my starting point. But obviously if you have the means to do more, why not? Like, they don't take up too much space. Again, here's 10 rifle mags, doesn't take up much space. 10 pistol mags, I mean, they don't stack as neatly, but 10 pistol mags does not take up that much space. And honestly, they end up kind of in different parts of my house, or like my holster carries 1 extra. And I think if you carry a pistol, always have at least 1 extra mag on your body, because what if your gun, worst case scenario, jammed, or the magazine blew out the bottom? I've seen that before, where I've seen people carry guns and their magazine just blew out the bottom while they were carrying it. Because you figure these are under a lot of spring tension, and if you have that mag loaded for, a year or plus, it could just fail under spring tension. So I do think you should periodically shoot your hollow points just to cycle new ammo through and test the mag to make sure it's good. I've cleaned my hollow point mags before and found a mountain of like lint that got trapped in there. I guess it also depends on how open your mag is, but there's openings at the top that lint can get into. So periodically testing your hollow point ammo, I would say at least once a year if you can. I have definitely gone past a year, so just take that with what you will, but at least once a year. If I had to say, a number, I would say every 6 months would be decent, but I don't do every 6 months on all my mags, so just, yeah. I think having at least 1 extra mag on your body if you carry a pistol. I carry 2 extra mags, so my holsters both have an extra mag on them, and then I carry an extra mag in my pocket on top of that. Doesn't matter whether I carry my full-size gun or, this is compact, but bigger gun. This has 15 rounds in it. I could even put a 19-rounder as my spare. It doesn't really matter, but I always have this and then an extra mag in my pocket. Same thing, I have a Glock 43 here. These each hold 8 rounds, and then I have another 8-round mag in my pocket. So you can call it paranoid, but I just like to be prepared. And then, yeah, 10 mags, whether it's rifle or pistol. And then ammo-wise, I would say at least 1,000 rounds of full metal jackets for each gun. And that can sound like a lot of money, and at different times it is. 1,000 rounds of 5.56 ammo right now is actually pretty expensive compared to what it's been in the past. So pre-COVID, 5.56 was going for about $6 or $7 per box of 20. Right now, it's $10 or more, and it's a little bit of an expense, but if you think about it, like depending on how much you shoot, right? Let's say you spend about $500 to $600-ish for 1,000 rounds of 5.56. That is a lot of money, but chances are every time you go to the range, you're probably going to shoot like through 2 or 3 mags. So let's just say every time you go to the range, that's a 100 round range trip. That honestly depletes your stash pretty fast. And I know not everyone shoots 10 times a year. I shoot like once a week, but I would say having 1,000 rounds as just your stash pile, like rainy day, you know, if ammo skyrockets and you want to sell it, if it gets impossible to get and you just need it, you know, having 1,000 rounds set aside is not a bad idea. And that's not even talking like hollow points. Like I say having hollow points is a separate entity in that, because full metal jackets do not make great home defense rounds. Like for pistol, hollow points is key. Oh, that's not even a hollow point. For pistol, having hollow points for your self-defense ammo, I think is key. I wouldn't use full metal jackets. It's just not as effective. So I have about 1,000 rounds of hollow points. Now that might be overkill, but I have a lot of 9mm. I test all my 9mm subguns with my hollow points. I test my handguns with my hollow points. So I have over 1,000 rounds of 9mm hollow points, and then that gives me ammo to test and ammo to store in magazines. And a subgun mag holds like 30 rounds. So that's why me having over 1,000 rounds of hollow points is beneficial. As far as rifles go, like these mags are loaded with green tip, but I also have over 1,000 rounds of hollow point 5.56. So, I mean, this is 300 rounds of green tip ammo. This is X amount of ammo with hollow points. I think, you know, 1,000 rounds of full metal jackets, and if you can swing it, 500-ish rounds of hollow points just as a rainy day. And it's not gonna necessarily devalue, like don't buy it at like height times like COVID, but if you buy it right now, relatively speaking, it's gonna hold its value. Hollow points for pistols are always about $1 per round, but there's constantly those 50 count boxes of hollow points in the $30 to $40 range. So even if you just start with a couple, it's not a bad idea. And then as far as storing it goes, I have a lot of 50 cal ammo cans. These are very usable. I've tried to go bigger ammo cans, but they become a nightmare to move around. But this is a 50 cal ammo can. It has 860 rounds of 5.56 in here, and I actually have room to store even more. It all depends on how the boxes are stored. So I have like 50 count boxes in here, which store very nicely. I also have 20 count boxes. So the 20 count boxes are the universal, and I think with 20 count boxes only, you can fit probably about 800-ish rounds in here. But this one has 860 rounds, and I still have space to make it at least 900 rounds. If you store it loose, then you can store even more. You can store like 1,000 rounds of 5.56 or 1,000 rounds of 9. So storing it wise, it doesn't take up that much space. And then as far as other ways to carry magazines, this little mag pouch has 6 AR mags in there, and then I would have the one in the gun. So storing 7 rounds, or storing 7 mags full of ammo is very easy. I mean, this thing maybe weighs 10-ish pounds. It's not very heavy, so yeah. Storing stuff, I would say, is very easy. It doesn't take up very much space. It's just the cost of doing it. AR mags right now, I'd say Magpul P mags are probably the bare that I would go, like the bare minimum. There's other like decent brands. I've heard good things about Mission First Tactical, and they're a relatively inexpensive mag. I've heard decent things about Amend 2 mags, and they're decent. But if you want just a gold standard magazine, Magpul P mags are always like the go-to for everything. These are Lancer mags. I really like them. I have no issues with them. As far as magazines go, I've heard issues between different brands. I've heard issues with the Magpul P mags for Glocks. I've heard issues with Lancer mags. I've heard issues with almost every magazine. I could say from my personal experience, I have not had any issues with either of them. Lancer mags is one of my main magazines to use between, you know, Scar, Tavor, Bren, AR-15, just a variety of guns. I've ran all my Lancer mags through the tactical games twice. I've ran them during range practice, and like when I mean range practice, I mean like every time I reload, the magazine drops from like about here, hits the ground, and I've dropped them. My AR like range bag has about 10 mags in it, so between 10-ish mags, I've never had any issues. Same thing with these P mags. I basically only have Magpul P mags as like my Glock style range mags, so I have about 6 to 8 of these that just are in a rotation for my range bag. And again, when I reload, I drop the magazine. I'm not very gentle with it. It drops on concrete, it drops in the dirt. I've dropped these hundreds of times, and I've never had one break. I haven't replaced any of them, so they are still working very good. So again, people might have issues with certain brands of magazines, but in my experience, I haven't had any issues. I'm not saying I'll never have issues. Like, I'm guaranteed to have an issue with them at some point, like a continuous issue with one mag at some point, but I haven't had to ditch any of my mags due to issues. So feeding issues are going to happen here and there, like a malfunction and whatnot, but overall, just the magazine's trash. Haven't had that happen with any of my brand's mags. Even Pro Mags. I have Pro Mag AR mags. No issues with those. So yeah, just find some mags that work. But I would say, you know, having a decent rotation of like at least like 3-ish range mags is good, because it lets you have more data between them. Because if you only buy one and only use the one as your range mag, one, you're going to wear it out much faster, and two, you're not going to have a sample size to really test how good the mags are. So yeah, 10 rifle mags, 10 pistol mags. As far as getting your rifle set up, you know, having a light optic sling, those are basically what I strive to put on any of my guns, because optic to, you know, see what you're hitting, even if it's just iron sights. Iron sights are a very good way to start, but honestly, red dot technology is very good now. Even like Holosun, you can get a decent Holosun red dot for about $200, and you can get decent Magpul flip up sights for about $80. So $280, I would trust that setup on almost any rifle I pick up. So again, I mean, it's all an investment, but chances are guns are not cheap anyway. So even if you bought a cheap $300 AR, you know, I mean, I'd recommend buying something better than $300. But buying even a cheap like Smith & Wesson AR, having a Holosun red dot at the very least, or Vortex, they all make decent stuff from my experience. This is an aim point, but the bare minimum that I put on my guns would be a Holosun or a Vortex, and I haven't had any issues. Lights can get expensive too. Streamlight makes a very good affordable light. This is a mod light and I like it. But yeah, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get into the gun hobby, but I would say for getting started with rifle, right, like between buying the gun, your accessories, that might be $1,000 or more in itself. And then buying 10 magazines would be, even if you buy PMags for like $10 to $12 a piece, that's like $120 for 10 mags. That's a decent investment. Even if you just spent, you know, a couple months buying like 1 a week or 2 a week, I mean, you can give up fast food for a day to buy a magazine. It's definitely worth it, and you'll be happy in the end. So yeah, you can build it up over time. Not saying you have to just go buy it all at once, but yeah, just try to do that when you buy, you know, your first of anything. Now, I'm not at a point where I have 10 mags for every gun. I mean, I do AR-wise. I have probably 600 AR mags, but for the most part, any gun, whether it's a stupid, like, fun gun for me, I have to have at least 10 mags with it. I just have it ingrained in my head that way. So I thought this would be kind of an interesting topic. Let me know what you guys think, like what would be your bare minimum. But yeah, I think it's a fun topic. And again, you don't have to start out going crazy. You just work your way to that point. And if you can get past that, great for you. And if you can't, then just anything is better than nothing. So just remember, we all started from the ground up, and yeah, I'm not saying anything is set in stone, so this is just my opinion of what I think would be beneficial for you. But let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you guys have any topics you want me to talk about. I enjoy these types of kind of conversations. I talk about it all the time in store with customers, so it's my daily life, and I don't mind it. I enjoy it, and I'm here to share it with you guys. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.